Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everyone joining us from time zones around the globe. I'm Chad Collette, the Director of Marketing with LedU Partners, and I'm today's seat filler and guest host for our uber busy Director of Technology Consulting, Christina Felchlin, who many on the call may know today. As today's stand-in host, I want to welcome you to our Dynamics 365 and CRM User Group webinar. This month, we're turning our focus to read auditing and data imports. Now, for our returning attendees, welcome back. It's always great to spend time with you. For those that are new to LedU Partners and these webinars, I want to say welcome for the first time. LedU is a business and technology consulting company who partners with organizations to transform sales, marketing, customer service operations, and processes that are supported by technologies like customer relationship management, and marketing automation. We offer sales, marketing, customer service, and CRM consulting. And we really pride ourselves on the strategic business advice, process definition, and technology solutions that we provide our customers to advance their business. We love offering these user group webinars, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we do. Now, if you're looking for more free content, you can visit our website at ledupartners.com. You can sign up for our blog posts, and we do between 5 to 7 posts a week, or browse our resources section and download our ebooks, our infographics, and our case studies. We have an amazing library of nearly 30 ebooks, I think, and over 50 infographics, and really much, much more that you can access and share. Now, as you can see, we continuously adding new and relevant content every month based on the CRM pain points you mentioned at those webinar registrations. And we really want to hear from you with more content ideas. So feel free to add a future webinar topic suggestion in the question panel of your GoToWebinar control panel. We'd love to continue to bring you the content that's really most important to you. Now, we have everybody on listen-only mode today. And also, if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please put those into your GoToWebinar control panel. And we'll make sure to follow up with you after. Time to launch into the agenda. First, I just want to give a real brief update on the release date for the Dynamics 365 April update. Then we'll be moving into our Spotlight training topic, which again is read auditing and data imports. We'll follow that up with some user-submitted questions that came in during the registration for the webinar. And we'll finish up this webinar today with CRM resources that are available to you and some upcoming events you may want to consider. So as a reminder, Microsoft has established a release cadence of 2 major updates a year, April and October. I want to remind everybody today that the Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement Online April release is planned for release to the U.S. environments on April 26th. And for all those without a calendar in front of you, yes, that's next week already. Now, it's not too late to test the preview. To turn on the preview, you can navigate to the Power Platform Admin Center, navigate to Environments, and if you have yet to activate the preview features, click Activate Now, which is under the April 2019 update. If you've already activated them, your screen will show Test in Production. Now, we really recommend testing these features in your sandbox environment. And of course, if you need assistance with this update or any issues at all, LedU Partners is always here to help you, so please contact us. Now it's time to get rolling into our Spotlight topic and our training. We're going to be talking about read auditing and data imports. And I'm really happy to turn over to Michael Dodds, application consultant with LedU Partners. He's a local jokester and really just an all-around great guy. Michael, it's your show.
Thanks for that wonderful introduction, Chad. And I'm pretty sure you forgot to mention local weatherman as well, because for you specifically, Chad, I always mention the weather. It's finally getting a little bit warmer here. As somebody as a resident of the South for most of my life, I'm always happy when it finally gets a little bit warm here. So for all of you in the South, I miss you, and I hope you're enjoying all the nice warm weather that you've had. The North is finally catching up. So happy spring to everyone out there. I hope you have a great Easter this weekend, and we got a lot of great content to get into, so let's jump on into it. Read auditing. This is a newer feature for Microsoft, and one that is actually really, really powerful. So we're going to discuss this. There are some very important prerequisites, however, that we want to talk about first. The biggest one being an Office 365 E3 or E5 subscription is required. So if you do not have an E3 or E5 subscription, you will not see read auditing. You will not have that capability. So that is a very important thing to note. There may have been a possibility that you saw this read auditing feature at one point when you did start auditing, and then you no longer saw that. That could be because you do not have an E3 or E5 subscription. Dynamics 365 version 8.2.2.13.10 or later, and it's only for production instances. You will not be able to put this on Sandbox. Not really a reason to put it on Sandbox either. Now, why would you use read auditing? Very important. I know this seems obvious when we're talking about read auditing, but for the longest time, if you've ever attended one of my admin training sessions, we talk about the create, update, and delete functionalities, and that's what we're auditing. However, we're missing one of the very important features. Anybody that's an admin or anybody that's heard this acronym CRUD, it's a hilarious acronym, but it's very important. Create, read, update, delete. The read functionality was always missing from auditing. That is now something that we can audit. So hence the reason why it's in red there. It's a very important piece that we can now audit. Multiple record view. That's an important piece because that's when a user is viewing information in bulk. So advanced finds and grid views. Our users are seeing things in mass in Dynamics. So in that advanced find piece, in those grid views. They're also exporting information to Excel. You can also audit that information as well. So there's a lot of really great things that you can do with read auditing. So like when reports are viewed and exported, you can audit that information as well. Microsoft support work. A lot of admins have had this concern because you will have instances where you need to take a full copy of your instance and send it out to Microsoft into one of their instances, and they need to do work in there. However, there's no auditing of that. So their support work that can be audited. It's not just for user auditing though. Admin events can now be audited. This was a huge ask for the longest time. Publishing customization, deleting attributes, fields, backup and restore actions, adding solutions to an instance, team and user management. These are actions, admin actions that are being audited. So that's some really important features that are now items that we can keep track of. So now we know why. Why would we use this? How do I turn it on? If you have that E3 or E5 subscription and you're in 8.2.2.13.10 or later, which if you're online, which means you would have that Office 365, you've been put on 9.0 by now. You simply need to go to the settings, audit settings. You will not see the read auditing piece until you click start auditing. Then you will see just under audit user access, you will see the read auditing section. Okay. Very, very important after this is that you go under each entity. And you will see right here, single record auditing and multiple record auditing. Single record auditing, this is only going to log against the record that is opened. Multiple record auditing, this is going to log against all the records that are visible on the open page. Think about a record that you go into in Dynamics. There are many records that are against that, particularly in a subgrid. On an account, there's many contact records that are visible on that record page. So keep in mind on the one that you're choosing. Okay. This will need to be done for each entity. So that's how we set it up in Dynamics 365. Once we set that up, where do we actually view this information? This is not viewed in Dynamics 365. You have to go outside of Dynamics 365 into the security and compliance section within Office 365. Before you do that, before we even start looking at the auditing information, we want to turn on the audit log search. There are going to be some pre-configured Dynamics 365 reports that can be used under the search and investigation. So right here, so we're under the security and compliance section in Office 365. Then you have search and investigation, audit log search. Okay. And then then you want to go to the Dynamics 365 Activities tab. Okay. Once under there, then there's going to be 9 pre-configured reports that can be utilized. Access out-of-the-box entity, access custom entities, access an admin entity. They perform bulk actions. They access an other entity type. They access the Dynamics 365 Admin Center. They accessed an internal management tool. They signed in or out. And they activated a process or a plugin. So these are out-of-the-box reports that can be simply run right from the audit log search section in the Dynamics 365 Activity tab. Then you can create your own reports right from this audit area. So this is a really great tool that you not only have pre-configured reports that you have access to, you can also create your own reports that are going to fit your information. Now there are some known issues. Okay, there is a 3 kilobyte limit for each audit record. Okay, due to this, a single record will need to be split into multiple records in Office. Now, the 2 that will likely require this are the retrieve multiple and the export to Excel. That's because you're looking at multiple. The actions are basically, so if we're looking at it, what it's going to do is it's extracting a list of multiple records. It's either retrieving it or exporting it. So there's a lot of information coming out of it. That's why there's so much data there. Okay. Some operations will require additional processing to gather all the relevant data. Okay. So again, the retrieve multiple and the export to Excel. Okay. So here you're extracting lists of records, like I said, to retrieve or export. But not all relevant operations will be processed. For example, you run these operations, export to Word, it'll just be a single operation with no data showing. You can run those, but not every relevant operation has actually taken place by the time it's completed. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. The activities drop down. When you're in the security and compliance section, there's 9 activities listed. The audit logs, however, only use that accessed other entity type activity. So if you filter it down to any one of those 9, it's going to filter out all the results. So the best practice per Microsoft is to simply click on the Dynamics 365 Activities header, and that selects all the activities. That's the best way to do it. Shouldn't have any issues running into this known issue. However, I still want to mention it. New flags for read auditing. Basically, if you marked read auditing in the org or entity section, they're not solution aware. What that simply means is if you export a solution from one instance and then import it into another instance, it's not bringing those flags over. You have to reset them. That was in 8.2. So some very, very important information with read auditing. Again, it's exclusive to organizations that are using Office 365, E3, or E5. Some really powerful information, definitely some setup that you're going to need to take to do this, but some powerful information that you can do from a read auditing standpoint and from an admin auditing standpoint that you can do. Custom reports that you can create for yourself within the security and compliance section. So a lot of great tools that you can utilize that were definitely not there before. Data imports. Data imports is one of those functions in Dynamics that is widely utilized that causes a lot of frustration. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to add it to today's webinar. It's a very, very important feature and a very powerful feature. When you're importing new data, one of the absolute most important steps and the step that you should spend the most amount of time on is your spreadsheet setup. Your column headers should match your field names. So how your fields are in Dynamics should be how your columns are labeled. Your first row should be your column headers. You should not have anything above your column headers. That should be row 1. You don't want to have any other form. Just start with a brand new spreadsheet, put in the column headers. There's a tool within Dynamics 365 that allows you to import all the fields from a particular entity. It's a very nice tool from the standpoint that it allows you to get all the fields out of Dynamics 365 for that entity. However, it does fly in the face of the next comment that I'm going to make. Less is more. You only want column headers for the fields that you're going to put data in for. So every field, not just fields that are on the form. That functionality that I spoke of, it's going to add every single field, every single one. So even if you're not using it, you literally have zero data in the system, it's still going to add it as a column header. So as I said, it's nice in theory, but in practice, it's not always the most beneficial. So when you're adding those columns, you want to make sure you're only adding the ones that you're putting data in for. Okay, make sure that they match up. The name matches how the name is in Dynamics. Also be wary of labels. If you ever attend one of my admin training sessions, always very leery about labels, because the label is only for the form. How it appears on the form is not necessarily the name of the field. Okay? So be leery of that when be leery of that when you're putting in your column header names. They want to match the actual field name. You also want to add column headers for required fields. Reason for that, it's not going to stop you. You can still import the data. However, the first time the user then goes in to that record, they're going to be required to enter that information before saving. So it's a user adoption piece. User might be frustrated that they go in to simply make an update, and here they have to add in a whole bunch of other fields. So that's a recommendation. I also recommend adding a column header for owners. That way you can add contacts, leads, accounts for a bunch of different owners. It's a very helpful tool. The last piece, you also want to save this as a CSV file. Not an Excel file, save it as a CSV file. So I'm going to open up a contact file, and we're going to take a look. So I'm just going to open this up on screen here so we can see, so we can take a look. All right, so we have these fields. All right, so first name, last name, account name, email, business phone, street one, city, state, zip code, and country. Very simple, very plain. I have all the information I need. Okay. What I want to do is I want to double check this against my contact record. I'm going to go into my contacts and I want to go, okay, do I have all my required fields? If I'm missing any required fields, I want to make sure I have them in. I'm missing an owner field. I want to make sure that I put that owner field in there. So this is a good double check. You can add the fields that you know you want to put in, then go back and add the fields in that you want to add. So we go and we look for, when you're looking for a required field, you're looking for red asterisks next to the field. So we take a look for that. So the owner field is the field that I want to add. So I add an owner field. Simply type owner at the top. And then I can add in, very important here, owner is a lookup field. Account name is a lookup field. Even if I misspell Christina's name, I misspell it by one letter. The system is not smart enough to say, oh, I know that you meant Christina, even though you put Kristen. It's not smart enough to go back and say, I understand what you meant. It's looking for that exact name. Any misspelling, it's not going to find. It's going to error out. Okay. Account name specifically. Owner, I'll show you when we do the import itself, how you can set, a backup owner. Okay. So if I know that the first two are going to be to Christina, and then the last one is to Mike Dodd. So I set it this way. And then I go File, Save As, Browse, and then I save it as a CSV file. And then I click Save. And then you click Yes. And then we simply move it over. So now that we saved it as a CSV file, now I bring back up Dynamics. You can go directly from the contact. You can just simply click Import Data. Or if you're an admin and you have access to this section, you can go to the Data Management section and import from there. So I can go to Import Data, Browse, and then I just upload my file, click Next, Next. So all that was telling me was, hey, this is the file that you uploaded. I'm just going to do default automatic mapping. And it's going to look at my headers, and it's going to start to map them. I'm doing a contact. These are doing the contact records, so I'm simply searching for my record, my entity. I click next. So see, it goes last name, account name. So because I did account name instead of company name, it didn't find it automatically. This is a field that can look up to an account or contact. I know I want to go to the account, so I check mark account. Business phone mapped. City is going off of address 1 city. So because I didn't put it in correctly, it's not finding it. Same thing here, address 1 country. So if you take those extra steps to fill in the headers correctly, you can avoid these steps to hunt and find at the end, because it's going to automatically find it. Once you have it set, you click next. Your required fields are up here. So source is on the left-hand side. When it's a required, Dynamics 365 auto fills in, it's locked right there, last name, and then you're choosing the source field that fills it in. You can go to not mapped, use default, okay? And then here on optional fields, these are all the source fields, the remaining fields that are on your spreadsheet. And then you choose the Dynamics 365 ones that match. That's why I recommend having the required field. Click next. And it's just saying, okay, source data, this is the record type. Click next. Allow duplicates. If you say no, it's going to go off of your duplicate detection rules. So whatever your rules are set for contacts, those are the rules it's going to go off of to find duplicates. CRM admin, so basically if for any reason Christina or Mike Dodds can't find or can't own those records, or I misspelled one of the names, so if their security doesn't allow them to own the record, or I misspelled the name, CRM admin or whoever I decided to choose here will be the owner. And then if I'm really satisfied with that data map and I'm going to use it again, give it a name, and then I can choose it again in the future. Then you click submit. You can go to the import section. It's going to open here, and it's submitting. And then it will go through its process. You'll have successes, you'll have failures, and the failures will give you information about why they failed. Is it always very clear why it failed? No. If you ever have any questions about why what the failure reason was, we can definitely help out with that. Now, for updating existing data, online orgs, you have an amazing tool at your disposal, and that's Excel Online. If you update information through Excel Online, now why would you ever update existing data through an export to import? The reason you would do that is if you have a bunch of data that you want to edit, but it's not the same edit to each one, and you want to do that quickly, there's a way to do it. So here's how you would do it for Excel Online. You would go export to Excel, and you go open Excel Online. And then you simply make the various changes to the different fields that you want to make the changes to. And then you would hit Save Changes to Dynamics 365. It's going to load up just like an import, go through the process, done. The nice thing about this, you're never leaving Dynamics. You're never actually exporting an Excel spreadsheet, making the changes, saving it. and re-importing back in. Everything's right in Dynamics. Then return to Dynamics. I didn't make any changes, so I'm good to go there. For on-premise, you don't have that choice. You have to export to Excel. Static worksheet. Open. Very, very important. Notice how A, B, and C are hidden. Do not whatsoever change, modify, remove anything to columns A, B, or C. They have to stay on the spreadsheet. They have to be on the spreadsheet. They have to be on the spreadsheet, and you have to import the spreadsheet back in. That's how they find the records to make the update to. That's how they're finding them. Without A, B, and C, there's no way it's going to go back and find them. It's going to treat them as if they're new records. Okay, so you go back, make your changes, do your import. So if I change this to 2, 3, I made the change to that, and changed his first name to Thomas. I did a file, save as. I did a save. And then, so I saved it as an Excel file. And then I close. And then all I have to do is go back to import data. Browse. Put this in. Hit next. That's my file. Click next. The only one I didn't like was full name. I can skip that one. Next. And then click submit. If it was satisfied with everything, it would have skipped that process. Click finish, and it's just going to overwrite everything. It's going to import everything and overwrite it. Oops. So it's very, very important. This is one of the most crucial pieces that you do not remove columns A through C. That is one of the biggest pieces that is missed or forgotten when it comes to updating existing data with a data import. So very, very important. And then save as an Excel file. So number one, make sure that your spreadsheet is in order for new imports, and save as a CSV file. For updating existing data, do not touch columns A through C. So for our user submitted questions for today, our first question is, I would like to ask how to manage solutions to import or export from sandbox to production. And then also, if you can have a webinar about the handling of the sandbox instance. Those are two great questions. For the second question, if you're in attendance today, I would love to hear more regarding specifics about the handling of the sandbox instance. If you're referring to recommendations about the sandbox instance, or how we recommend that you keep the sandbox in production in order, or is it just generally used for the sandbox? I can state that in terms of sandbox use, we do say that 100% of the time, sandbox is where you use and make updates. So your enhancements, that's where they go first. They're set up, they're tested at first, and then from there, once everything is, you're satisfied that everything looks good and you're ready to move on, then a solution is taken from sandbox to production. Sandbox and production should always mirror each other. Should never do anything just to production unless it's, a must fix because something's broken and out of line. But then that fix, that change needs to be put in Sandbox right away. They need to always mirror each other. It's also a good process to copy production over to Sandbox because then they're in line, but you also always want to make sure that nobody's making updates in Sandbox either. So there's a lot of different things like that. That's just some good best practices there. But if there was more to what you were looking for, please let me know in the question section. That would definitely help in terms of a webinar if there's more specifics to what you were looking for or more of a general idea. Regarding your first question, again, that is also a great question. When creating solutions and exporting them from dev to import them into production, there are some key best practices. Give your solution a unique name when you create it. You want to remember what this was about. So if there's a particular type of enhancement that you're doing, you're creating a custom entity or you're creating new fields for a particular reason. Whatever the reasoning is, whatever there's that uniqueness is to you as the admin, you want to put that into the solution name to help you remember what it's about. Because you may need to go back into that solution at some point to look at it. I also recommend giving the version number as the date you created the solution. So doing, for instance, if you created it today, do 04.17.2019. Less is more. When I say that, a lot of people will come in when they're putting in, say, accounts. They're making a change to accounts. They're adding 5 new fields and making a change to a view. Or they're adding 2 fields and then putting them on a form and making a change to a view. They'll add the account and all of its assets, meaning they'll bring in the entire account and everything that belongs to it. I do not recommend that at all. What I would do is you do an add existing and bring in the account. And I'll show you here. Let's jump into Dynamics and I'll show you exactly what I mean. We go to Settings, Solutions, New Solution. Bring this over. So here's what I was mentioning for this. And then save. You have to save before you can add anything. So add existing. Entity. We'll do account. Click OK. You don't want to do this add all assets button at the top. So we're going to modify this form. We don't want to add all the forms. We just want to add this form. Views, we're going to modify one view, not all views. So we just want to bring in the one view we're going to modify. And that is, let's do my active accounts. Okay. We're not changing any charts, relationships, business rules, nothing else. We're adding new fields. We're not modifying existing fields. So that's it. That's all we need to bring in. Nothing else. Hit finish. It's going to tell us, hey, you're missing a whole bunch of stuff. Because you're keeping Sandbox and production to mirror each other, you don't need to worry about that. Creating it in Sandbox, you're moving it to production. They mirror each other. Production's already got all this stuff. No, do not include. Done. The reason why you want to do that is The more you put in, the more chance you have for issues to occur. Always export the solution as unmanaged. Unmanaged puts it directly into the default solution. And always enable SDK and processes when importing. We have our next question is, we have field security set up on 65 custom fields on the contact entity. Should we move these custom fields into a related entity to reduce security checks on the contact record? That is a great question. There's definitely a lot of considerations that would need to be made before moving these fields onto a related entity, or into a related or custom entity. More than just this one question, but this is definitely one that pops into my mind. Are these fields that need to be viewed on reports or views? That's a big one, because then it becomes the one-to-many relationship, and you're not going to be able to pull those onto a column if they're on a related entity. The columns aren't going to be able to be pulled onto a view that's on the contact entity. So there's some considerations to make before I can really give you a good answer. I would need to discuss it and understand more of the concerns and reasons for those field security and other items like that. Definitely be happy to talk this through with you and have more of a discussion around this. But just based on the information, I couldn't give you a good answer at this point.
All right, Michael. That was a lot of information. Thank you so much for your expertise and knowledge on that, and also the fine weather update to lead us off into this thing. For those of you that were hoping to get to security as we were putting together this information, there's just so much that we have covered on the read auditing that we want to make security its own topic. That will be coming in June. But here's a couple webinars that are coming up that we hope you might consider. On April 24th, next week, we'll be talking about how to select a marketing automation solution for Dynamics 365 and featuring click dimensions. And then our next user group will feature the Outlook app, and that will be May 15th at 11 o'clock. So watch for the follow-up email that will be coming that will have the link to register that. And you can always go to ledyoupartners.com for that. We've always got a lot of information, as I mentioned earlier, on our website. Ebooks, infographics, on-demand webinars, and more. We're always here to help you in any form, so please reach out to us. We want to make sure that everybody is enthusiastic and getting the most out of Microsoft Dynamics 365 and CRM. So until we see you next month, hopefully, I want to wish everybody a happy day and a happy Easter weekend. So thank you very much, and have a great day.